Hello, everybody. My name is Muna Kalu.
I'm Cara King.
I'm Bailey Tourre, and this is our podcast,
Under Pressure. So today we'll be discussing the pressure that students put on from themselves, parents, and their peers in order to go to a prestigious university, and we'll be deciding if it is actually worth it or not. To start off our podcast, a statistic according to the CDC states that the rate of suicide for ages 10 through 24 increased nearly 60% between 2007 and 2018. This brings the question, does the existential pressure that students face force them to strive for a prestigious learning institution, does that have an effect on their mental health?
I think that has a heavy effect on their mental health. The time spent on their academics, their studies could have been time spent, on themselves, on their mental health, or even with friends, really.
Yeah, I feel like at school we have so much busy work, and then just at home, homework takes hours to complete, and then on top of projects and tests every week, there's no time to just settle down and calm.
So, just so that we can have a broader understanding of this subject, what kind of environments are these students raised in that they feel such pressure in order to strive for such a high learning institution? What makes them feel this way?
Well, in a recent study of 1,608 students published in 2020, her team confirmed that negative social comparisons are tied to bad outcomes, disturbingly higher rates of substance abuse, anxiety, and depression. She found in some certain communities to affluence, but additionally research showed that it's not so much about family wealth as it is to living in a subculture of competitiveness. So I think what this is trying to say is, as much as parents do put pressure onto their kids, there's a sort of grind culture that we're brought up around. So, we kind of compare our grades, what colleges we get into, that kind of thing.
Yeah, today I had a quiz, and right after everyone finished, everyone was asking, what grade did you get? And some people didn't want to say because it wasn't as good as other people. And just even at home, parents are always like, this grade wasn't good, you need to do better, you need to do better. Teachers, they'll look at your grades and maybe you'll talk to them about them and be like, well, I can't really do anything to raise it, but if you studied harder or did this differently, then it would have been better.
So it's the competitive culture that they're in that is forcing them to feel this way in order to they have to strive for such greatness. Okay.
Especially if you're in a high achieving school, HAS, you're around such brilliant students that it strives you to get better grades and put that much pressure on yourself.
So peer pressure,
Yeah.
essentially. And so I also feel as well that a lot of middle class parents feel that their kids have to pretty much exceed just to, maintain their standard of living, which is very, when you look at things like inflation, that can be very demanding on them.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
you need to have certain grades to get scholarship opportunities, and if you don't have as much money as someone else does to get into school and pay full ride, then you need to work harder to get scholarships to help you out.
Right, it's again that pressure, when you don't have as much money or as many options as higher class families, where if you don't get into this college, there's always tuition they can pay for you to get in. It's just that pressure again.
Okay, so we're understanding that they feel as if they have to, there's an economic aspect of this. So that just brings into question, is there an actual correlation between the university you attend and your earning potential after college?
In a recent study, if an engineering student chose to attend the University of Pennsylvania instead of Texas A&M, the average starting salary would differ by less than $1,000. The average starting salary for attorneys in small firms falls in the range of $62,000 to $90,000 compared to starting salaries at large firms that range from $137,000 to $168,000. According to this U.S. News article, the base firms, top-ranked law firms, typically prefer to hire alumni of elite law schools that place in the top 15 in national law school rankings. And they also employ graduates of JD programs that place in the top 5 or top 10, and in general, grads from higher-ranked JD programs have better chances of finding a job at a big law firm.
Okay, so I appreciate that statistic. So from that, I'm noticing a pattern. So it seems as if you're majoring in a STEM field in the STEM workforce, that there isn't much of a difference, as you mentioned, from Texas A&M and UPenn. UPenn obviously being an Ivy League school, very prestigious, big name school, and Texas A&M, a technical school located in Austin. So you stated that the difference would be less than $1,000. So for STEM, it, there isn't much difference versus non-STEM, more liberal arts degrees. So I'm glad that we established that. So then moving on to our next topic of contention, is there a connection between race, community, socioeconomic families, and the pressure to get into a high-achieving school?
Low-income students of color who attend white-majority, high-achieving schools are thus subject to a quadruple whammy: the challenges of poverty, all the high-achieving school pressure, stereotypes, and often additional discrimination on top.
I think you made a great point there. According to a former public school teacher and lawyer who works as a freelance writer, she graduated from University of California, Berkeley, and has a law degree from NYU University. And she has published many articles for the Washington Post, New York Times. And she stated in an article that Asian American students who reported experiencing discrimination also reported higher levels of depression, school isolation, and often anxiety. Low-income students of color in majority white school settings are thus subject to what you mentioned previously, a quadruple whammy. So, mentioning what we said previously, we know that a lot of these students of color, they come from impoverished backgrounds. So, based on that, we know that attending these prestigious universities can be detrimental, as these universities are very expensive. Now, that also brings us to our next question. Do the benefits of attending one of these prestigious schools, such as networking and greater job opportunities, does it outweigh the negative aspects of attending such universities, such as high tuition fees?
I think yeah, because some of the more expensive schools like Harvard, Yale, the Ivy Leagues have a bunch of different scholarship opportunities, and most of them have really good financial aid programs. It's more important because college is only for a couple years, whereas your future is the rest of your life, and it matters what job provides you most in the long run. There are reports that show people who attend more prestigious schools are more likely to get a better job right off the bat than someone who didn't attend such a prestigious school. Early career, which pay scale defines as 3 years of work experience, median pay in 2022 was $86,000 for Ivy League graduates compared to $58,000 for those who graduated from other universities. The gap grows wider, and then looking at mid-career, 20 years experience median pay, Ivy League graduates earned $168,000 mid-career compared to $101,000 for those from other schools.
So there's a clear juxtaposition between those who didn't attend these schools mid-career versus Ivy League graduates, seeing that coupled with their experience, that prestigious school on their resume, it affords them to have a higher earning potential later career, as that's something that stands out to a lot of employers. And so for students who are looking to have who are seeking a high earning positional career, attending an Ivy League school could be very helpful to you.
Yeah, like if you put on your resume you attended Harvard and you go to get a job at a law firm, and someone else is going for that same position and they just graduated from like North Georgia, the person who graduated from Harvard is more likely to get that job because it's such a well-known school and everyone knows that it's a good school.
Yeah, so there's less of them. It's more rare to see that. So employers are willing to give you more in order to have you in that position. Now, is getting in a prestigious school the best option for everybody? And we mentioned STEM majors earlier. Does that apply for everybody?
I say no. There are people that would strive better in a smaller school where the professors can work with them one-on-one with everyone, and then some students just don't like having so many people around them and prefer more tame experience and more controlled environment.
So like a more tight-knit community, because obviously we know that a lot of the students that attend these prestigious schools, they come from illustrious private schools. Now, not everyone has that same high school experience, as some people would prefer a smaller university, a smaller community that allows them to shine more and just get the best out of their university experience.
Yeah. So our next question is, are the financial risks worth attending a prestigious college?
Now, there are various risks that substantiate the value of attending a prestigious university, such as networking opportunities that are exclusively available for students at these schools in order to secure a job in a competitive job market. And the exuberant financial cost of attending a prestigious university can be worth it, depending if you value job security or if you're pursuing a non-STEM major such as law.
If you struggle with applying to job opportunities, Yale has the resources to assist you, she says. I would definitely say that career-wise, attending an Ivy League school such as Yale is much more beneficial than it could ever be harmful. While at Yale, Pimentel Mora says renowned medical experts, entertainers, and authors have spoken to her classes, whereas that wouldn't happen as much in a lesser-known school and not prestigious college. The Yale Office of Career Strategy also regularly hosts information sessions and networking events with major companies such as Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, so again, we see another example of this networking aspect of attending a prestigious university as Goldman Sachs, as a very well-known banking institution. They go to schools like Yale and they look for students who are taking these degrees like economics, and looking for them in order to secure a job after college. So we see that it can be very useful in terms of getting a job, or a good job at that. Next, I would have to ask is, how much does a prestigious school increase your chances of getting a decent job?
Varying based on the area of employment, mostly dependent on what major a person took when looking at name recognition of which college that was attended. So employers look for colleges within your field rather than just a general big name school.
So, to basically conclude this discussion, I think we've come to a consensus that if attending a big school, is it worth the pressure? Is it worth the stress that so many students go through? And I would say our subjective answer would be that it depends. And I know that might not sound affirming to those who were really looking for a definite answer, but it really does depend. If you are looking for if you're pursuing a STEM major, it will not have much impact on your career. But if you're pursuing a liberal arts, non-STEM major such as law or banking, it really can make the difference.
Yeah, and it also depends on what kind of student you are. Like, people will look out through your high school career, and that's what depends on if you got good grades or if you are more accustomed to having a teacher work with you one-on-one. That's all. Thank you for listening to our podcast,
Under Pressure.